We have a really great panel, wonderfully styled and ready to go. Does everybody mind doing just some brief intros about what you guys are working on, who you are, and what's up?
All right, GM, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. My name is Evan McMullen, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Disco, your identity for the metaverse. At Disco, we believe that you are the shining center of the party just as you are, and you should reflect your data and your identity to the world however you decide. That's why we are the purveyors of fine data backpacks. We make it easy for you to own and control data about yourself and carry it with you from one space to another. And in honor of today's lineup, I want to remind everyone that God hates mammals. Woo! Yeah. Wow. Took that point right out of my mouth. I love that. My name is Anna Stone. I work with the Good Dollar Project. Good Dollar is a crypto universal basic income protocol. We give out free crypto UDI every day to people all over the world who want it. As you guys can imagine, when you give away free money, one of the challenges is how you actually make sure that it goes to individuals, you reduce spam, one person, one income. We've thought about and integrated a range of different identity approaches, all of which enable us to serve up UBI to 500,000 people all around the world every single day. Thank you for having us.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I got a good mic. What's the name for all-female panel that is not man, all-female? Womenal.
Panel.
Welcome to our Womenal at the Thank you. At the Climate Summit. My name is Cynthia. I'm a co-founder at Masa. At Masa, we pioneered something called soulbound tokens. Hold that thought. I'll tell you what soulbound token is when we get deeper into the conversation. We are essentially trying to use soulbound token to pioneer trust layer in Web3. So far, in the past 6 months, we've got over 280,000 users who have claimed at least one soulbound token in their wallet, being ready to be onboarded into Web3. Excited to be on the panel today.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Mashiat. I am part of the Celo Foundation, working as the NFT ecosystem manager. Part of my role has been really sourcing a lot of really cool infrastructure and primitives that can help push Celo as the home of ReFi for NFT projects all across the Web3 ecosystem. And for the past few months, Masha and I, we've been working on a really cool decentralized identity and NFT kind of use case called Impact Cards. We are activating version 2 or V2 at ETHDenver, and essentially impact cards are your visual representation of your holistic impact identity, and I'll go deeper into that as we go into the panel, but we really hope that we can reduce the fragmentation within the industry, improve transparency with Web3, ReFi, and climate by kind of incentivizing more positive contribution loops. So yeah, really excited to discuss all of that.
Awesome. So I know that we all have our personal opinions or maybe ideas about decentralized identity, but I would love to hear what Disco is doing specifically. And just, can you give a primer for Disco's vision and just level set the room for us on decentralized identity in that way?
All right, absolutely. So first things first, I want everyone to close their eyes and imagine yourself at home on your couch. Or don't close your eyes, but imagine yourself on your couch anyway. And about, let's say 2 years from now, you receive an invitation to the Disco at the Louvre in Paris. And the only thing that you bring with you when you get off your couch and get up to leave for your adventure is your data backpack. So that means you're having a seamless adventure through the doors of your building, rideshare, airport security, border screenings, health screenings, all the way to the door of your hotel where they've got your favorite snack set up without you having to ask, and the door of the event where you get served your favorite drink without having to order it. So we believe that the metaverse is your ability to show up in any digital or physical environment and enjoy a personalized experience based on the parts of yourself that you choose to share. Choose being the operative word. So on-chain in Web3, we are interacting in a low consent environment. That means if I have your public address, I can send whatever I want to you. I can send you tokens when I'm being nice. I can send you unsolicited dick pics if I'm not being nice. And so that is why consent is very important. If you want to have control over how you show up in the world, you need to decide what you accept to represent yourself and what you do not accept. On-chain interactions do not allow for consent. Your Web3 wallet is a consent-free space. So how do we have high consent interactions. That's where we bring in data backpacks. So at Disco, we enable you to use your existing key pairs, your existing Web3 wallet, to issue what we call verifiable credentials. These are gifts on high from the good nerds at the World Wide Web Consortium who brought us the internet. So verifiable credentials are the third game piece that we have in Web3. We have fungible tokens, we have non-fungible tokens. These are public, immutable, transferable largely, intended for global public availability. Everyone on Earth and in space with an internet connection can see them forever, but no consent. Then we have verifiable credentials. These are off-chain, private by default, no gas fees, can interact with any blockchain and any Web2 application regardless of key pairs. They are revocable or set to expire, and they only get attached to your name when you accept them and you choose to share them. So at Disco, we are introducing the idea of consent to Web3, and we are introducing the idea of a third game piece that can offer a container for ephemeral data that describes us as human beings, because I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with laws like GDPR and CCPA that help us understand that when we put data about a human being on a blockchain, that is explicitly in violation of data sovereignty laws across the world. So if we want to honor our users and their agency, we need to gift them with the ability to consent. In the same way that we honor consent over our physical bodies, we need to offer that for all our Web3 users, and that is what we do at the Disco.
Woo! To land the boss's vision different. Hello? Good? All right. Moss's vision is a little bit different. Can you share with us how you guys are approaching decentralized identity with your soulbound tokens?
Yeah, absolutely. Woo-hoo, absolutely. So I first want to ground today's conversation, the entire panel, in trust, right? I really love what John from Token said at the prior panel. Web3 is now having a trust crisis. There's a lack of trust between Web3 platform and the users, amongst Web3 users, as well as between Web2 and Web3. So all we're doing here on this good panel is to bring trust back to Web3. And how do we do that? We do that through authentic identity, on-chain, decentralized for Web3. And our chosen approach at Masa Protocol is to leverage Soulbound token. Now the moment of revelation. What is Soulbound token? I'll explain it to you in two versions. One is the nerd version in the most endearing way possible, and then the other version is a human language version. In the nerd version, in May last year, Vitalik, the creator of Ethereum, published a paper called Finding Web3 Soul using Soulbound token. So Soulbound token is a way to link your on-chain and off-chain attributes and Soulbound tokenize it, represented on-chain. It is going to follow you as a user through your wallet, resolve to your wallet, and be able to track your attribution off-chain, on-chain, being able to track your participation and activity as you travel in the on-chain world. And why is Soulbound token our chosen approach compared to other approaches? Because we like tokens. Users understand tokens. In the past 6 months, we were able to get 260,000 users who have minted at least one Soulbound token because they intuitively understand how to mint a token. It's as easy as minting an NFT. They intuitively understand how to import a token into their existing wallet, whether that's Coinbase, MetaMask, or Valora, they understand it. We want to be on the existing rail and promote decentralized identity that way. All right, that's the nerd version. The human version, I'll very briefly touch upon it. I have a very contrarian view when it comes to identity. Outside of this room and this conference, a lot of people that we want to bring into Web3 do not care about identity. They do not understand identity, they do not care, and when you talk identity to them, they get confused. Exactly what is my identity? However, what they do understand and care about is utility and value. So at Masa, we have productized Soulbound token and grouped that into very value-driven product lines. For instance, users understand airdrop, users understand completing a quest, users understand getting verified to get perks. A project understands how to kill bots, how to build an ambassador program, and how to get authenticated traffic to their project. we have bundled SBTs that way to go to market. So it's more utility and value driven.
Awesome, thank you. I want to kind of pivot the conversation a little bit more towards how each of these approaches to decentralized identity address climate accountability. So, Mosh, can you talk about how impact cards are going to change the game for climate accountability?
Yeah, for sure.
Specifically in use cases.
Specifically in use cases. All right. So before I kind of dive into that, I'll give a quick spiel on what impact cards are. So as I mentioned, like impact cards is essentially a visual representation of your holistic impact identity. When we mean holistic impact identity, we're talking about on-chain impact activity and contributions, off-chain impact activity and contributions, whether they're IRL or just off-chain, like you're part of a Discord or you're part of a community that is doing positive impact, and also cross-chain impact contributions. So these are impact contributions that are on other EVM chains and can be ported over to your decentralized identity or your impact card. And essentially, we really see this as a mechanism for where you can take ownership of your impact identity, your impact reputation, and get incentivized to participate in a recurring method with like all of these different impact protocols. So when we're thinking about like Disco, we're thinking about Good Dollar, we're thinking even about Masa, we really see ourselves as this visual representation layer on top, where we're pulling in data and reputation kind of scores to be able to port that over into the user's control. And as a result, the user can essentially choose on what they want to showcase, how they want to kind of showcase their impact identity and get access to like other protocols, other kind of rewards, and other communities as well that fit in with their profile. When it comes to climate action and climate activity, a key piece that we really see where DIDs really fall into place is the off-chain piece. When we're thinking about decentralized identifiers and verifiable credentials, a lot of climate action is not that transparent, and the folks that are actually doing a lot of the climate work are doing it locally and on the ground. When we're thinking about actually making global climate change and global climate impact, the way that we really see it is by mobilizing local action. And most of that action is going to be off-chain. So how do we basically port that action over into a decentralized identifier, right? Such as an impact card or a data backpack. And we essentially are kind of developing these gamified quests, working with impact partners such as Gainforest, that are basically doing a lot of monitoring, reporting, verification of carbon credits, of landscapes that are visibly like changing at a rapid pace, and essentially incentivizing users to contribute to those communities, engage with those communities, and then claim that they have done that specific action. Once they have claimed that they have done that specific action, we're able to issue them a verifiable credential that proves that they are part of that community, that they have contributed. And essentially, they can take this reputation that they have and get access to other ecosystems, thereby kind of being able to carry their impact passport or their impact identity everywhere. So that's really how we see, kind of bridging the gap of climate accountability at the individual level. At the enterprise level, of course, there is the transparency aspect. A big part of gamifying these impact quests is to, again, incentivize that recurring stickiness, that recurring usage of the impact protocol. But what that also helps on the protocol side is to see transparently, hey, what are my users actually doing? Like, which kind of pools, which kind of impact projects do they actually care about? What kind of features are frictionless for my users? And so we essentially hope that by giving transparency on both aspects, from both the enterprise side for companies that basically have impact projects where they want to offset X amount of carbon, where they want to transparently showcase, hey, these are the collective impact contributions of our users. And it goes far beyond kind of the features that we have, the pools that we've set up. We really hope that the impact card itself, not only at a user level, can empower the users to take control of their impact identity, but also help enterprises to transparently showcase what their impact identity is as well. And be able to, again, use that across ecosystems, so not just be siloed to one network or one kind of pool of protocols living on one network.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mosh. Anna, do you mind sharing how Good Dollar is putting in the work for decentralized identity and climate accountability and incentivizing positive actions?
Sure. So I think Masha did a great job of level setting the problem, if you will, which is that most actual conservation and sustainability work is happening at the ground level, the local level, on the individual level. And one of the challenges is that there's a lack of transparency work of who's doing the work, what's the impact of that work, and what are the market effects of that work, if you will. And decentralized identity, being able to identify and very importantly reward the people who are doing this type of very critical work for all of us on our planet is really, really key. And if you want to send money to people for performing particular actions, you need to know at an individual level who they are and what they did, right? And I think decentralized identity and the climate challenge, these are two key problems to solve if we actually want to reach the incentive layer, which is how do we actually incentivize more of this good behavior, if you will, right? And then how can you scale it so that you're actually supporting more on the ground initiatives, paying people out a fair market value for doing that work, incentivizing the corporate actors that actually have the funds, the wherewithal, the network to support that work at scale, and where all those different dots connect, right? And so one of the ways that we see it is that you actually need a system that connects the donor money, the corporate sponsor money, the funding to the actual people on the ground that are executing and doing the work, and ideally in a model where there is an actual market value for the actions that are taken, right? Whether that is cleaning trash out of a bay in the Philippines or planting trees, right? And so it becomes increasingly more important if we're thinking about how do we reward the people who are, primarily indigenous populations who are on the ground doing the work. How do you actually get money to those people, right? Like that remains a big, big challenge today in terms of scaling these programs. Is actually how do you reward people who are actually the ones who are doing the work? And this is where I think, thinking of direct transfer, or in our case, a universal basic income protocol or standard becomes very, very critical, because you need to merge the idea of merge the problem of making sure someone is who they say they are with the actions that they've completed in order to convince someone to pay for it, right? That's the transparency that the corporates are craving. And so one of the things that we've tried to, work with partners at Celo, but also other, on the ground organizations, is actually a range of different pilots that are focused on enabling people, actually using the good dollar system to funnel environmental subsidies, not just to NGOs, but actually individuals, and seeing what is the financial impact of that. And out of the hopes that ultimately that creates the transparent proof to drive the incentives of more people putting more money towards these types of activities.
We're getting close to the end of our time. I wanted to just talk about 10 years from now, if all of the solutions that you guys are building scale, how does this technology allow for such volume, specifically when we're thinking about climate, right? Carbon offsets, forest diversity, like these are huge, huge, huge amounts of data, huge amounts of transactions. How do your solutions answer for this? And I'm gonna cut you guys off at 20-ish seconds, 30-ish seconds.
Two things I want to highlight relevant to Disco. Also, Mosh brought them up too. Just because you get your keys from a blockchain doesn't mean you need to use them there. Self-custody is for more than money. You can own yourself. You can own the data about yourself. You can own the data about your organization, about your land. We do not need to use expensive public ledgers to compute and secure this data. We simply need to use them for settlement. And secondly, you are more than the contents of your wallet. In the inimitable words of Tyler Durden in the movie Fight Club, currently in Web3, you can only express yourself financially, so when I look at you, all I see is piles of tokens. I want you to be more than that. I want you to be the whole person that is sitting in that chair who has preferences and feelings and experiences and intentions, and right now you cannot do that if you do not have the ability to host off-chain data and to incorporate consent into your experiences. And so if we want to enjoy a connected future that enables the preservation of this planet, we got to self-custody all the things.
I would might say that you are able, if we succeed, it means that you're able to transparently prove to any corporation the value to be won from supporting these types of initiatives and showing the actual impact of funneling money to support these initiatives. Hard stop, because we all know that climate is an area where we have outright failed to coordinate for a range of different reasons, which I won't discuss now. But we know that providing the proof, if you will, is going to be part of what's key. Providing the proof and the tools to actually address the people who are doing the work that makes the impact is critical to actually starting to solve one part of the problem.
All right, 20 seconds. In 10 years, I want to bring at least 1 billion people into Web3 at 3 levels. Level 1, everyone will be wallet native. You'll be able to represent your full identity at the wallet level. Now, layer number 2, you'll be able to see your social graph, the affiliation, attribution, and tracking of activities between wallets or on-chain. Number 3, wallet is no longer on-chain only. It represents your true identity in the real world as well. So in the future, we will not be talking about Web3 versus real world. On-chain is your full self.
Definitely resonate with a lot of what Evan and Calentia said. We envision in 10 years for impact cards as this huge impact network where we do have from the user level, the user being able to basically track a graph of their contributions, their social graph, and have complete control over their identity, and where they kind of see themselves contributing impact, but also how they want to identify themselves in parts of communities and brands that they want to be a part of. But there's also this huge merge of Web3 and Web2 that we also see. As we're rolling out impact cards, a lot of the protocols that we're targeting are Web3 native protocols, but with the off-chain piece, we really see this as an awesome way to onboard traditional nonprofits, conservation projects, climate accountability projects, MRV projects, retail brands that want to do ESG programs, and getting them included into this network as well, bringing their users onto Web3, whether they need to be on-chain. I mean, not all of their data needs to be on-chain. They have complete sovereignty over their identity, and they can choose what data's on-chain, what's off-chain, and unlock cross-chain quests as well as they kind of evolve in their journey. So that's really what we see, a huge impact network, merging the Web2, Web3, Web5 world and beyond.
Awesome. Thank you guys very much. And that's our panel.